Hi, Elvire. It's a pleasure to have
Hi,
you on Peopleizer to come to share your story.
thanks for having me.
So your move, an exciting move from a little French island in the Caribbean, so from Guadeloupe, right?
Radu, yes,
And tell us where you were heading to.
to Brazil, the northern east part of Brazil in the state of Alagoas. The main city is Maceió, and it's like between Recife and Salvador de Bahia on the eastern coast.
Okay. So you're living basically very close to the coast, to the sea, right?
Well, the beach is like 5 minutes walking from here.
Okay. Awesome. Let's look at your context prior to moving from this French island.
Yes. So I would say there is two different contexts. There was my personal context and the pandemic context. Sorry. So first, I would say, as we already discussed about it a bit, I'm a kind of nomad woman. I'm a nomad person. I've lived in like 4 different countries the past 20 years. Uh, so I moved to Guadeloupe in 2014, so I've been there for like 8 years. I really enjoyed it, but living on an island, it's quite specific. And to me, at least, I started to feel like claustrophobic because I was on a small island. So you goes around and around and around. And every time you want to reach somewhere else, it costs a lot of money, take a lot of your time and energy going to United States, Europe, or whatever. In the same time, I was getting tired of my job. I was a sales representative in the industry of international transportation. So there was a global context, personal life, professional life, and environments as well. I wanted to move somewhere, but I didn't know at that time where I could go to. So I didn't want to go back to Europe. I didn't want to go back to United States. I decided that I would have faith in my fate and that the universe will lead me to the right directions. To make the story short, in 2019, I decided to learn a new language because I was just speaking fluently English and my mother tongue French. And all of a sudden, I had this idea in my mind that I had to learn Portuguese, and that led me to meeting Brazilian people and meeting my boyfriend. Um, so we met like early in 2019, and then we had that kind of long distance relationship for a while. I was already moving, transitioning in my professional life because I started a diploma of coaching at that time in 2020. And then there was the pandemic. And I think like for anyone else in the world, the pandemic really like put into light the dysfunctional part of our lives. And to me, it was my environment, professional and geographical, and my relationship, because I didn't want living a long distance relationship for more longer. So yeah, 2020 was catastrophic for me. I really felt like I needed a change, and I started to put action in the change, even though I wouldn't be able to move forward. But I was, trying to process the moving. I was starting to do administration tasks. I started to, getting new diplomas. I started to envision a life after this. And when they started to, lighten the restrictions in 2022, I was able to finally moved.
So because the end of 2020 and 2021, you were not able to physically move from Guadeloupe, is it?
No.
Okay.
Actually, until the end of, if I remember correctly, 2020, we could, you know, travel still. But since I think January 2021, no, there was the restriction because of the vaccine. Because before you could travel, but you had quarantine or a PCR test or a lot of stuff like this.
Okay.
And it was different from countries to countries. But it got worse because even me as a French person, I couldn't go back to France, for example. If I was not vaccinated, I couldn't get out of Guadeloupe to go to see my family in my own country. Yeah, makes no sense. Not even without, I need an imperative motive. Thanks God I had to follow like new program of instructions, and I had like courses in Paris, so I managed to have an imperative motive from time to time to move to Paris, but that was it.
Yeah, so that doesn't become really fun for the experience. May I ask you, as you are a nomad and you've been to different places, people may ask themselves, why did you move to Guadeloupe in the first place? Why did you decide to go live on the island? I'm asking because there's a lot of people right now which are also thinking to move to some island, be it Canary Island or Caribbean and stuff like that. So there might be some valuable information.
I don't know if it will help anyone, but I always felt like Caribbeans, like, because since childhood I had Caribbean friends, and even in Paris there are thousands or thousands and thousands of Caribbean people, and specifically I don't know why all my friends, they were from Guadeloupe. They were not even from Martinique, they were not even from Guyana, they were specifically from Guadeloupe. So all the countries I've been to, Ireland, USA, Guadeloupe, were because it was like a child dream at some point. Only Brazil, I never had the idea to come to Brazil in my life. That's the only difference. So yeah, I had a lot of friends in Paris from Guadeloupe. So when I transitioned there, at least, well, it didn't help because I didn't like socialize that much with those people, but you know, they were like, oh, I have brothers, sisters, cousins who live there, they might greet you at some point. So you know, I was having some help, not having help to find a job. It took me 1 year to find a job there, doing interviews from Paris with the jet lag. Sometimes at night you have to do an interview with the boss and stuff. I contacted all the companies in the island pretty much. So yeah, it was you create your opportunity, right? It didn't come just like this.
So that's something you wanted to try, as well as having connection there that facilitate your integration.
Yes, and I really needed, because I've lived in Paris for a long time, I've lived in New York for a long time, and I really needed. I was tired of those big cities environment. I wanted to rest. I wanted to return to nature, to more authentic places. Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. So let's come back to the choice. Going to heading to Brazil. Did you have any other choice than Brazil? Were you thinking of other places to go?
I had a customer in Guadeloupe that was American, and he offered me first an opportunity to go back to United States and go to Miami. And then actually was working for the cruises industry, and then the pandemic arrived, and yeah, the cruises were stopped. So I didn't say yes, because I always follow my intuition, and like 1 month after, they were everything locked down, and You remember at the very beginning there was a Italian boat, right, or a cruise boat that was locked up near the Italian borders shores or something. I don't remember exactly, and people stay on the boat for like 1 week because they, yeah. So yeah, I trusted my intuition and I said, no, but I didn't knew where I could go. So yeah, I just I said I will have the opportunity. I will see what it brings to me.
All right.
But I was open to, because when you make too much restrictions in a choice, sometimes you, because you don't know necessarily what is good for you. I don't know if you follow me, because sometimes you have fears, you have your educational background that do not allow you to do certain things. So if you are too squared and too restrained with yourself, you don't allow the possibility to see bigger and to experience something bigger.
I get what you mean. Basically, yeah. Basically, you're embracing the change as well as opportunities coming to you, not trying to put too many criteria in your choice up front, so that.
But I knew what I didn't want. I couldn't go to a big city. I couldn't go to Dubai, for example. There are a lot of people who are crazy about Dubai. Me, no, thank you. Too much showing off, too much eccentricity. I wanted something more natural, who reach my values, because I have that bond with nature. I have that bond with ecology as well. I've always like been sensitive to the cause of saving jaguars, for example, and I really think that I will probably this year or I don't know when, the possibility to join association. Why not, for the preservation of the jaguar here? So I knew what I didn't want, and I knew certain criteria that was for me important, and the rest I let it happen.
All right. And so prior to moving, do you have to sort anything out in Guadeloupe?
Yeah, I had to finish my study. I had to feel comfortable with the idea of taking risk, like going to a place where you don't have any specific feelings towards it. It was also leaving my job for transitioning into that career. So being also comfortable with the idea of, I don't have a lot of money, I don't know what's going to happen, but no matter what, I will go towards my dream, and everything will work out for me. I'm maybe an extra positive person, but that was more fears than obviously administration and the pandemic, the restrictions, the vaccine as well, because, well, at the end of it, I had one shot, because thanks, I had COVID. So after that, I just needed one shot to have my complete vaccinal pass.
So to be able to enter in Brazil, is it? Oh.
Yes. No, it was not to enter Brazil, because Brazil was the most, I think, free country during the pandemic. You could go without vaccine almost, but you couldn't get out of France.
Okay.
Because France didn't authorize you to get out of your country if you're not vaccinated.
Yeah, the coercion for French people was pretty high.
Yes.
Pretty high.
So there was the pandemic, the main issue, and there was my own fears that I had to deal with myself. My fear of lacking money, my fear of leaving behind me comfortable life for something I don't know what's going to happen. Leaving my friends for a place where I don't know anyone except my husband now. Yeah, that was me with me.
Okay. So that's already 7 or 8 months ago, but can you take us through the start when you arrive in Brazil? What's going on? How do you discover, because it's a new country for you as well? So how do you discover it? What's going on?
For me, it was first like a cold shower. It was a cold shower because not a lot of people here speak English. Uh, so it's really hard to find people speaking good English in Sao Paulo or Rio. So imagine in this part of the country where it's not very industrialized and stuff. So yeah, if you don't speak Portuguese, you are a little bit like screwed up. Yeah.
So that was the
The
place
funny-
where your future
yeah,
husband was living. That's the reason why you picked
exactly.
that place. Okay.
Then I had to, well, I arrived and lived with his family uh, for a while until I found a place to live. And well, it's a small place, different culture. And I used to be that independent woman living by herself, doing whatever she wants and being with a certain autonomy. And suddenly I felt like a baby. You know, I couldn't go anywhere without him because I couldn't talk to anyone. I was in a small place that I had to share with other people. I discovered the religious factors of Brazil when, you know, we know that they are very Christian people. That
Yeah.
is true. I'm not. So sometimes, you know, yeah, you don't necessarily understand uh, the importance it has. So you just have to be non-judgmental and just
Mm.
go with what's happening. Um, but rather than, oh yeah, and I didn't like that life where everyone is uh overprotective about themselves, like having big walls in front of their house, electrical wire, big gates, and I was like felt imprisoned. I was, because last time I saw this was in South Africa, and I was like, damn, I mean, I want to feel free. I don't want to feel I have to live behind walls and wires and
So can you just pause a bit on this, because why? It's because it's the setup. It is our house are protected in the area, or
no, I guess it's pretty much everywhere. Some cities more than others, because for example in Rio I didn't see that much or not that way, like electrical wires and stuff. Uh, but yeah, Maceió is not is is known for like quite difficult neighborhood because you
okay,
still have a big gap between the rich people and the poor people.
all right,
That creates a lot of, well, violences, even if, as per my husband, you know, it decreased with time. It was worse like 20 years ago. But still, it's like people, and especially the middle class people, they overprotect themselves. That's my opinion. For them maybe it's just normal, but for me it's like
mm,
overprotecting
mm,
themselves
okay.
from danger, from robbery, from break in your house, from violence in the street, for you know, my stepmom, she never take her cell phone with her in when she goes out. And I'm like, yeah, but if you are really in trouble, what's going to happen if you don't have your cell phone? For example, a cousin of my husband, one day we were like wanting to go to the beach because she lives in a beautiful middle class building, and she said, "Oh no, you can't go to walk by the beach because a few years ago there is a girl, she got raped." And yeah, but we're going to walk. We are the two of us. So I guess now it's more in the habits, because maybe it was more dangerous back in the days. I don't know. I really don't feel insecure in Brazil at all. I'm just having like common sense. but I don't feel in danger at all. I feel pretty much safe in transportation, in the bus, everywhere. I'm just, not showing my cell phone everywhere, like just common sense. So that shocked me a lot, that overprotection of themselves, especially if they're starting from middle class to over. But it's really different because you can have when I arrived there, I said to him, we're going to search for night neighbor where we want to neighborhood where we want to live. And he said, no, it's not going to, like this is going to happen because it's not by neighborhood. From a street to another street, you can have a total different type of environment. Okay. You can have a middle class environment. The street after you can have $3 million like apartment, and right after you have a favela. So there is no organization of the city. So that's why, quote unquote, danger can come from anywhere, anytime. But yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good for people to understand. And have you seen this type of setup in other parts of Brazil? If you travel a bit inside Brazil, or?
Yes, but not that much in Rio. I don't know. And Rio is known for being a lot much more criminals. But at least, at least if they protect themselves, it's nicely designed in the architecture and stuff. So it's smoother and it's not shocking, like just seeing walls, like gray walls and electrical wire. It's more like already integrated in the architecture, so it fits perfectly.
So the start of the integration is a bit challenging for you, right? A bit tough even, right? So what gets you going? What type of mindset do you adopt?
Well, as I said before, I'm always a positive person. So, and I have the capacity to adapt pretty much anywhere. I just need to because I take things like they come to me, and I see everything as an opportunity to discover myself or to discover something else from other people, new perception, new point of views, etc. So always being curious, always being not judgmental, especially when you go to live in someone else's country. Being not judgmental is like a foundation for me. And you have, I think, to be able to live by yourself. Like you have to be comfortable with sometimes loneliness. You have to be comfortable with, not understanding everything. Like you have to be uncomfortable. You have to be comfortable with the unknown as well. So I would say this: comfortable with the unknown, curiosity, non-judgmental, expect the best to come, and put actions towards you, being proactive. Okay, I want you to see more people. Well, let's find a way to meet people. I want to, find a job or whatever. You just have to be proactive, and that's it.
I love your mindset, because you don't find often people which are comfortable with the uncomfortable, with the unknown, right? So that's a great mindset that you have. So after a few weeks when you had arrived, so what were your plans?
When I arrived, first the plan was to find a place to call home. And when I talking about home, I want to put something that because you're talking about being comfortable with the uncomfortable. When I was in New York, even if I dreamt about New York my entire childhood and teenagers years, sometimes I wanted to cry. I was homesick, and I was 24, 25 at that time. And I had that Philippines colleague who immigrated from Philippines when he was a teenager. And I cried to him, and he said, home is what you make of it. And this, from now on, I always keep in mind when I feel sick, homesick, I feel like, well, yeah, I'm in different environment, but home is only what you make of it. So you can be at home anywhere in the world. As long as you are a human being and Earth is our planet and we are part of this planet, you can feel comfortable anywhere. You just have to find the right conditions. But back to what I put in place, it was first finding a home to have that independence from the family of my boyfriend at that time. And then it was well, figuring out all the administrative process for me to have my papers, and also getting married because we couldn't get married in Guadeloupe. So yeah, that was the three main things: having a house, getting married, and getting papers.
So how much of a challenge was it to find a place that you like, to find something?
Ah.
Home.
No, well, like usual, I ask, and I receive. No, I knew what I wanted to. So he said, "What you want? You want something close to nature, close to the beach, a big volume like space because you like space. Okay, it's going. You have a short limit of money to spend on because for now I earn no money because I'm transitioning. So yeah, I said it's going to be hard to find something, but we're going to. Okay, yeah, that was kind of weird to me because I said let's go to real estate agencies.
Yeah.
And he said, no, this is not how it works here. And I said, what? He said, yeah, you will not find a house there, only apartment in the city. And that was true. We called them, they had no houses. Especially because there was a incident like last year in the region where there was problem. It rained too much and there was mud like collapsing on houses and destroyed a lot of houses, and there were thousands of people without home. So the state had to relocate those people, and most of the houses like were already rent. So there was not a lot of houses, and he said if you want to find something you have to just visit the neighborhood because you will see for rent or for sale on the house.
Okay.
You don't need to have a real estate agency. I was like, what? Okay. And then we started to visit the up north part of the city. We are 20 minutes away from the city, let's say. It's near the littoral, and it's really like more Guadeloupe-like. It's really full of nature by the beach, etc. And we were lucky enough, like talking to the neighbors in the neighborhood, to hear from people to say, oh, but this house. And actually, I walked in the street and I said, oh, you see this house? It's so lovely. It's like a fairy tale cottage. I love it. And the neighbor said that it was free. I said, really? It's free? He said, yeah, the people left 2 months ago. And he gave the phone number of the guy, and we called, we visit, we rented.
That's cool. So basically, you just walk around in the street, talk to people when you see them in front of the house, or maybe knock at the door and just ask around. Do you have
Especially
something?
my husband talking because he was
Yeah,
complicated.
I guess if you're not local, it's not natural to do this. But if you are,
Yes.
it's not a problem at all, I guess.
Yeah, I found this process very weird.
Yeah, it's very different from, I would say, Western world where we go through a real estate agent, everything's formalized. So,
Yes.
but more fun, definitely a more fun
It
process.
was more fun, yes.
Okay.
And I found whatever, all the criteria I wanted, so.
Okay. Okay, so that's the first plan. The second plan was around the admin process and so plan around getting married. So how did it go around the administrative things in Brazil? Was it particularly challenging for you guys, or
No,
no?
no, actually, we had much more trouble with the French administration when I was in Guadeloupe.
Okay.
Because, like, for example, we tried to organize the wedding for 1 year, and like 1 month, I had like the place, the cook, I had even the samba dancer, I had everything planned, and I had to cancel everything 1 month before. Thanks God, in the contract we had like that COVID policy, like just in case you have COVID and you can't get married, you can cancel without with the phone back.
Charger.
So, but when we arrived here, everything got smooth. I had first to make my kind of social security number. That was the more challenging part, but not that much. And then everything went smooth. Actually, because I think that Brazil do not have a lot of immigration. There are a lot of people leaving Brazil, but comparatively to the number of people, which is average like 250 millions of people, it's even if you have 10,000, 50,000 French people coming, well, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So you don't have a lot of immigration. You have a lot of immigration out there. So I think they are pretty, and you don't come from a difficult country. You don't come from Africa, Mozambique, or Angola, or those Portuguese colonies. Yeah, for those people, maybe it might be more difficult, but you coming from Europe or from United States, it's quite easy, I would say.
Okay. And did you have to hire someone to help you with the documentation and the administrative things, or you actually just handle it by yourself most of the time?
No, I could do everything by myself.
Okay, with the help of your husband, I guess. Okay, awesome. So
And the help of the embassy as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but the French embassy here is great.
Oh, that's good. Good to hear. Seldom happened. So from let's talk about the business perspective for you, right? In terms of activity.
Oui. What do you want to know about business person?
So what is your plan? Do you plan to find an activity? Do you find to continue what you were doing before? And how does it go for you?
Okay. No, I'm not going to go back to international transportation. I had, 17 years of experience in the field. I've been to different places. Thanks to that career, I'm really grateful for everything that happened. But I've been from operational to assistant to key account manager to sales rep. I've done everything I wanted. Now I graduated in coaching, but more like for a team coach, like in companies. And then I specialize in collective intelligence facilitation. So I'm more in a profile of working with companies. But the point is, I can also work with individuals, but since I prefer to work with a group of people and teams, and because I believe in the future of co-creating the world and communities, if I do individuals coaching and stuff, it would be group of people coaching. So the thing is, I do not speak Portuguese on a professional level for me to expand my company that I'm about to create in the months to come here in Brazil, unless maybe trying to, experiment a little bit and make like small, I don't know, day of experimental of collective intelligence and stuff. but not really organizing a 2-day seminar to create bond in team harmony, to solve conflicts in the teams. No, this will not happen. I would love to work with Europe and United States because it's two countries that I know, that I've worked in. I know what it is to be an employee in those countries. So for me, it's, I feel more comfortable. And especially when you start a new career in something new, it's better to try at least to be the most comfortable as you can. But the problem is I'm far. And if I go for a mission there, it will cost a lot of money for me to pay the ticket.
Yeah.
So what do I do? I don't know yet. I have to figure it out. If I do distancial, you can do distancial program, but I know for fact that now the company who hires people for like bounding or doing team building, etc., after 2 years of COVID and having people home working and being already distancial, they want to create bonds and for people to share time together now. They want to recreate an atmosphere of wanting, because there was a lot of people that didn't want to go back to office. You remember this? So, well, it doesn't really fit with the idea of the essential program. So, yeah, I'm a little bit conflicted about this, unless I have the opportunity to have a mission, but it has to be a 2 days mission, or to have several contracts in the same period of time, like in 1 month, for me to because it's almost 1 day traveling to go to France, and with the jet lag, with the cost of the tickets and stuff. So how I will orient my strategy, I haven't figured out yet. So to make it simple, first I will focus on the individuals, because these individuals you can do pretty much everywhere in the world. You can connect people on Zoom, Google Meet, whatever. They will be very pleased to work on this together. For the company's part, I have to figure out. But first, I think I will interview people, because I might think that it's complicated, but maybe it's not complicated. So I plan to interview like CEOs, managers, and stuff to see, I don't know, what would be the reason they would hire someone like me, what kind of mission they would have for me, for how long, how much they can pay for it and stuff. And then maybe I will come to another conclusion. And also the idea of I want to create seminars to ask professionals to come in Brazil. Yeah, this at terms I want to create this, but I have to find specific topics to work on. So I also have to interview people to figure out what they need.
Yeah, exactly. And I like your thinking. Basically, you don't have the solution, but at least you trying to think and analyze, observe, and move towards solution, as well as opportunity will come your way as you do this, actually, usually, right? So I'm not too worried about that.
If I'm a facilitator person, at least I have to try to facilitate my life and my
exactly. So that's the business perspective. Should we talk about the integration? How do you integrate yourself with Brazilian people? How is it going for you?
To me, on a personal, in my opinion, right? It's kind of different of the previous experience, because either in Ireland or America or Guadeloupe, even people are different. Like in a part like Guadeloupean people are French. It helps. And in America and Ireland is a European country with different culture. Yes, it's true, but they are still Europeans. And and American, well, we are, born with American culture. When you are in Europe, you have America on television, on the radio, everywhere you have those influences. So you don't feel that much different. Here, I feel like really I'm a foreign country. Um, and especially because of the living standards. Like my husband would describe, Brazil is maybe the richest country in the third countries around the world, like the developing countries.
Okay.
And they consider themselves as a in development country. You don't have the same standard like with the money, like the people, the average salary is about like 200, 300 euros. That's very low. So, everything around here is a lower standard. Like what could be affordable for middle class in France going to be the low class here. Even like taking the bus, for example. In France, even if you don't have money to afford a car, you can take the bus, but all the buses are modern, buses are comfortable. Here it's buses like coming from 50 years ago. Everything is shaking in the bus, it's kind of dirty. And so, yeah, you don't have the same comfort standard as in Europe. And this you have to get along with. Unless you are very upper class, you make a lot of money, like there are expats in Rio, they make 10,000 euros a month. Okay, so yeah, they can live a life pretty much in the European or American standard. But if you don't make that same amount of money, you will have a middle class level that would, if you transfer to European standards, go to a low class level.
Okay.
You understand what I mean? And this might be uncomfortable for some people.
And so coming back to integration, basically people talk to each other according to class, or no, there's no problem with this, basically?
Well, to me, as per what I saw, there are specific areas where you have the middle class and the upper class. And obviously what I see, because I don't have acquaintance in those class, that they go in a certain type of places that other people can't afford. And the other people, well, but coming to bonding, well, I don't know. Maybe it's a bit like United States. United States is very about communities. You have Afro-American people, Spanish American people, and it's not a question of money, but it's a question where you come from. So here, for example, we are in a fisherman city. So I would say it's not poor people, but it's, just low to middle class people. Everyone talks to each other, but it's no fancy, but they are very affordable. They are very talkative when you can speak in Portuguese. That's the point. Sometimes I might feel, but that's my impression, no offense to anyone, I might feel that we are not on the same level of knowledge, but according to what I know and what my husband says as well, you still have a lot of people who don't have access to education, a lot of people. I even bonded with a French guy who has a good situation, and he says, even here you can't judge by money, because you have people, they are millionaires, because they are landowners, but they are not able to sign a contract because they don't know how to read. I was quite like, when he told me this, I was like, really? So yeah, in that context, you have to have the exchange of the heart, really loving people for who they are, and for, yes, human beings, a little bit like, rendezvous en terre inconnue, you know, a little bit like this, because if you search for certain standard, people, they don't have access to knowledge and education like we have in Europe. So you might feel a bit like lacking something in the exchange in terms of education, vision of the world, politics, economy, if you want, you know, those type of exchange, I would say. But they are very nice, they love to laugh, they love to dance. You always hear some people laugh, they are very helpful. We had a water problem. The neighbor offered to bath in his house. We had always, you have people, can I help you? Can I help you? Can I help you? So yeah.
That's nice. Okay. How is the infrastructure around you basically? So basically roads, telecommunication, water. How is it?
I know. So, what I should start with, I think that the infrastructure, they are not well taken care of, like we could have in Europe, for example, or your pavement, the streets are clean,
Sure, yeah.
pavement are, no, you can't have the same expectation. The pavement is always broken, it's kind of dirty, there's not a lot of renovation. Also, I'm talking for my region. If you go to Rio, in Rio Center, everything is nice, but it's not the same, I think, in terms of money that
Sure.
the city makes is different. But here, even the colonial past infrastructure, they were destroyed and never renovated. That's really a pity, because I love that colonial style that you find in Brazil. So that would need great renovation. In the center, in the city center, people have access to the potable water, but outside the city, a lot of people have just water from the well. And I'm always amazed by the quantity of water that the earth of Brazil is generating to allow people to always have water, but it just comes from the earth. And us, we have a problem with the water company. The water is not coming in since August. And we're trying, oh, that's difficult because the water company has been privatized. So, you know, they calculate the benefits and the inconvenience of the thing. So, oh yeah, it's a lot of work to repair this house. Does it worth the price? No. So since they are privatized, they are very difficult. So we've been lacking like potable water for like since August, and we just have water from the well. So it's not potable water, but just to wash yourself, wash your clothes, and that's it. But that's the reality of a lot of Brazilian as well.
Okay. So how do you deal with that? If I may ask, you need to go to your shop to buy water, or?
Yes,
Okay.
I have gallons of water. Yes,
Okay.
for to drink. But me, I'm fine with the idea of having the water from the earth. Like it's no chemical treatment, so I'm fine with it. About telecommunication, network is great. It's cheap. It's even cheaper than in France. And for cell phone plans, internet plan, it's perfect. No complaint about it.
And the connection seems to be reliable as well.
Yes, yes, they are.
Okay. What about electricity?
Electricity, no problem with electricity
No,
at all.
okay.
No, just the water.
Just the water, okay.
Water, yes. So that's why on the rooftop of every house you see those blue I don't remember in English, in Portuguese, caixa. You know, those big box of storing water.
Yeah.
Because it comes from the well. Transportation here is kind of shitty, I would say, but it's a shitty in Rio as well. For example, São Paulo is good, but here you don't have, like, we have more than 1 million person. It's like pretty much as big as Lyon, and Lyon in France has a metro and stuff. We don't,
Yeah.
and the buses are not very well organized if you want to reach every point of the city. So you need to have a car or a scooter or whatever. The good point is that Uber is not costing a lot of money. You can travel for 2 euros, 3 euros.
So
It's
are we
fine.
talking about traffic jam on a daily basis as we experience in most third world countries
Yes,
or
you
megapoles?
have yeah, you have traffic jam, not as worse as Guadeloupe, not as worse as Paris, but we have. And since I'm not working in office with specific hours, I go out mostly after the traffic jam to not be
Mm.
bothered.
Yeah, I think in a way it's a luxury to be able to work from home because you don't waste
Exactly.
a
Yes.
significant amount of your day in traffic jams, and definitely. But
Yeah, in Paris, I was like spending 4 hours per day in the commute. I don't want to do this anymore in my
a
life.
lot of people do around the world. No, thanks for this overview of infrastructure. And it's always useful to know a bit what you will need to deal with. In your case, it's potentially water, and it's something to factor in when sometimes you will not think that access to water it could be a problem, actually. Yeah, definitely. All right. So I think we've done a 360-degree of your story. Is there any key advice that you would have for people who are moving and especially maybe moving to Brazil?
Key advices. Determination.
Determination.
Yes. Open-minded, to be open-minded to and embrace whatever you're going to have no expectation. Because if you expect to live like you live in France, for example, because we are French, so I talk about France as a point of reference. But if you expect to live like you lived in your country, well, forget about moving. You have to leave your expectation on this side, on a side, and curiosity. I talked about this earlier, and yeah, determination to make it happen, no matter what, because it can be hard on your emotional side, it can be hard on your mental side, it can be hard in like really physically, like moving. It can be stressful. So yeah. And if nothing is perfect, like leave yourself alone a little bit. Like do not put too much pressure on yourself. Deal with the things day by day, what happened, one thing after another. And yeah, because if you see the big mountain before, you would never do it.
Yeah, I love your mindset. It's a bit more specific than the type of mindset that I encounter across multiple stories, where often it's about flexibility, expectation, but it goes a bit further in the way that yeah, you are very determined to get things to be done to move forward, and that's awesome. That's really good. Yeah. I'm not worried about you. Definitely.
I'm not worried either. Just, transitional phase. It's not going to be permanent.
All right, Elvire. That was awesome. Thanks a lot for your time, and good luck to you and your husband in Brazil. Definitely.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for having
again. Cheers.